Hi, Andrew here. I am shy, so I am letting an AI voice narrate for me. Haha. Here I will tell you one of the many ways to program the Retevis RT3S. Programming a DMR can be confusing. This presentation should help clear up some of that confusion and alleviate some of the mystery some new users may experience. I will show you how to obtain and install the software and go through the important menu items of the RT3S to get you on the road to creating your own custom code plug for your radio. The first thing you'll want to do is download and install the software after you purchase your radio. Go to the retevis.com website and search for the RT3S. Once you find that, you should be able to select the support option and download the software and the USB driver. You will need to get the driver if your system does not recognize the cable, which is different from the standard Baofeng programming cables with the K connector that you see often. Once downloaded, you should unzip the files and remember the location. After that, double-click the RT3S application and install the program. Now you should plug in the USB to the radio cable and open the device manager. A new entry will appear under USB controllers. If it does not show disabled, you may not need to do the next steps. If it shows an error or it is disabled, you should right-click on that device and select Update Driver. Select Browse My Computer, let me pick from a list, and select Have Disk. Browse to the folder containing the USB drivers and select the file called stube.inf and click OK. To copy the data from your radio to the PC and begin your code plug process, open the CPS software. There is likely a shortcut on the desktop or browse to RT3S in Programs. Connect the cable to the radio and PC and select Program. Read data, follow the prompts and wait for the copying to complete. There is also a shortcut button as shown here. On the left side of your screen, you will see a list of settings you can select and get into the menus for each parameter. Some of these parameters can be skipped. We will show the slide but will not discuss those parameters. On the General Setting menu, you should enter your call sign and radio ID. The rest of the parameters may be ignored unless you know why you are setting them. The Menu Item menu can also be left with the default parameters if desired. This menu allows you to assign shortcut functions to the buttons. This can be left as default or customized at your option. Text message, privacy setting, and digital emergency system can also be left at the defaults. Here, we are getting into the meat of creating a code plug. These are like contacts in your cell phone. A private call is like a cell number and a group call is like a conference bridge. These pictured are mostly PiStar contacts. Simplex, local, and individual call signs would normally be for direct calling on a simplex frequency or repeater. The Digital Contacts Group Call menu item can allow you to combine group calls in a list to allow your radio to receive any one of those groups. This is a whitelist of group calls your radio is allowed to receive. If a call comes into this list, you should hear the call. See also Contact Name and Group List under the Channel Info menu, which will be covered later. Zone Information is a set of groups for your channels that will be added later and named by you. Each zone is allowed 64 channels per side, A and B. These will be displayed on the radio on two lines, top and bottom. Here I have two PiStar hotspots, one is 2M and the other 70 centimeters. Scan lists can be created for groups of channels to scan. These can be added from the channels you add later. This function is not necessary for basic radio usage. Channel information is where you will add channels to the radio. This is sort of clunky because you can't reorder the channels. Some pre-planning is okay, but just adding them in any order is also okay. See the slide for zone information, as these can be added in a different order from that menu as needed. See the circled parameters for the example DMR channel. These are the most important. Selecting the contact name and leaving the group list blank is acceptable. This will allow receiving of any signal. Selecting the group name will make the radio mute to any signals not in the list. See the next slide for more info. Channel information, digital RX/TX frequency, match to simplex or repeater as needed. Channel name, something you can remember. Anything you want. Contact name. This is easier if you configure individual channels on the same frequency with each desired contact name. These can also be selected from a single configured channel if you want to do that and save channel programming time. Group list described on last slide. Color code. This is like a CTCSS tone. Match to receiver or repeater config. Repeater slot. This is for time sharing on the same frequency. Match to receiver or repeater. Channel information. Analog. Here is a traditional analog repeater channel. Enter the RX frequency, repeater listing output, and the TX frequency, repeater input. Enter the PL tone, CTCSS/DCS encode as needed. Leave the CTCSS/DCS decode blank for carrier squelch. Organizing channels. Once your channels are added and properly configured, go back to the Zone Information menu and add them to the desired zones. This allows you to group them in alike menu presets for easy recall later. Highlight the channels you want to add, and then click the Add button between the windows. It is recommended to add some channels to both A and B groups, or one side will show unconfigured on the radio display. Add zones as needed to organize in groups you like using the Add button at the bottom. The final step is to send the code plug to your radio. Connect the cable between the USB socket on the computer and the radio, and then click on the Send to Radio button as shown here. After this, you can start using the radio per the manufacturer's instruction manual. I hope this was helpful.